All right, I'm here with Victor Arroyo, who was just on the latest season of Big Brother.
Big Brother 18.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I just had a rough night last night, but I made it, so I'm good. I'm good.
That's good, man. So tell me a little bit about your journey going into the house. Was it something you had tried out for, prior to this year, or first time?
Surprisingly, 2 years ago I applied for season 16 of Big Brother, actually. And I did, I went to an open call, I went through the process, got through finals, and then I didn't get picked. And in all honesty, I was like, you know what, forget Big Brother. I'm not even going to watch, I'm not going to do anything, because I watched a couple seasons because I applied that time. And so I was like, forget the show, whatever. 2 years passed by, and then I see that they're coming back. Big Brother's coming to New Orleans to do some open calls, and I was like, should I go? Shouldn't I? I was at a point in my life where I was at the job, and I was an operations manager at a gym, and I liked my job, but I felt like I wanted to do something else. And this opportunity came about, and I was like, well, let me see. So I went the open audition, stood in line 3 hours like everybody else. I went through the process, and next thing you know, I get picked, and I'm on the show. We're walking into the Big Brother house, which is kind of weird. But my strategy going into the house, I guess, was kind of weird, because I didn't have like a legit strategy. I just knew people would look at me and be like, oh, physical threat. They don't have to know anything about me. They just look at me and say. So I knew right off the bat that I had to win competitions.
Right.
Even if I didn't want to, I would have to, because people would think and assume that I would. So that was one thing. Another thing that I told myself was, I see every season, I see people that just like lay low, like half of the show. You don't even barely know who they are. And I was like, I don't want to be that guy.
Floaters, we know that.
Yeah.
Very well.
I didn't want to be a floater. I didn't want to be just quiet and go with what everybody wanted to do type of deal. I wanted to do my own thing. And I wanted to be remembered for something. Like, I legit wanted to be remembered for something, which ironically I am now.
Now you are, but not for what you were thinking, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Were you surprised when you were targeted so early, or do you feel like you were targeted based on who you were associating yourself with?
I think it was twofold. I think I was targeted, because I was aligned with Jose, and at that time everybody wanted Jose out, and me, Paul, Bronte, and Natalie, we were all together on that, which ended up biting me in the butt, obviously. But two, I ended up winning the first comp of the season. So right then people were like, oh, he can win stuff. He's a threat. So I think as soon as they had an opportunity to take me out, especially when I was aligned with Jose,
right,
they're like, oh, that's an easy excuse. He was aligned with Jose, he's out, and he's a strong competitor. Yeah, let's just get him out of the house.
Well, that didn't keep for very long. You won the battle block, so you went back in the house for the first time. What did that feel like for you?
It was strange, because every time I had a competition to do, I was like, well, one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to go home and see my family, which is not bad because I had already missed them at that point, or I'll go back into the house, which is awesome. So that was my mindset when I was going through these competitions. Don't do your best, but don't be scared.
Right.
And so next thing I know, I win the battle back belt, which I haven't been home in like a month, but it got to the house finally. And it was really cool. It was really, really cool, and it was nice because when I left the house the first time, I wasn't having fun in the Big Brother house, because just the way it was set up with, the alliance that I was in, and we were targeted, and I was just stressed and paranoid the whole time. I wasn't having fun, and as soon as I got evicted, all that went away. And when I came back in the house, I was like, well, fuck this, I've already been evicted. What's the worst that they can do to me?
Did you feel there was a target when you went back in, or do you feel like there were other people that were more of targets and you could skate for a week or two?
I mean, when I went back into the house, it was weird because when I left the first time, Frank was like loved. Everybody loved Frank. The next thing, and even when I talked to Jeff Schroeder on the after show, upon my first eviction, he asked me, who do I think is the biggest threat? And I said, Frank. And then to come back into the house and see that everybody's targeting Frank, I was like, oh, wow, this is perfect. Frank, Davon, Bridget, Lennon, whatever, and I'll just
let it all play out.
Yeah, let that play out. Let me just at least give myself a week to breathe here. Now that I'm here again.
Right. And at that point, you hadn't seen anything, right? So you had no
I didn't know what was going on. So Paul pulled me to the side. He's like, "Look, everybody wants Frank out. Just do that. You'll be good to go." I'm like, okay. If that's what's gonna happen, that's what's gonna happen. Let's do it. I get to survive another week in the house.
That's right. And then, as fate would have it,
as fate would have it, a
out
couple
the door
weeks
again.
later, I'm out the door again. And the funny thing about that one was Natalie and Michelle that was like a bonehead move, you know? Because I was legit gonna work with them to get Corey, Nicole out, you know, and make sure that we stay strong. And they go ahead, and not only do they get co-HOHs and it's all fun and games, they botch it. I feel like that was one of the worst HOH decisions that you can make,
right?
Especially with people that you're working with that are really strong competitors in the house. And what they were trying to do was separate me and Paul. Oh, power couple. The last thing we want is Victor and Paul here together, you know, whatever. Their nightmare comes true. We're back in the house and pissed off.
And you weren't done. You got evicted again, and then hey, let's go for round 3.
Exactly, and it was hilarious. For me, my biggest frustration is when I got evicted that second time and I came back, that Michelle was mad that I wasn't hanging out with her, Natalie, and James, and that I went with Corey and Nicole. I was like, what do you expect? Both of you guys just evicted me. And then Natalie's trying to tell me that, no, like, you know, I didn't want you to go. I wanted Paul to go, and I was like, yeah, but I still left. And they're like, oh, no, it's like nothing happened, everybody's back. And I was like, no, I actually left, and I wasn't guaranteed to come back.
Right.
So, I mean, it was just weird. And then, you know, obviously she's like, oh, I want to work with you now. And I was like, that's
a little
not
late.
going to happen.
Yeah.
You messed that one up. But yeah, and like you said, as fate would have it, couple of weeks after that, I'm gone again.
You're like a cockroach that wouldn't go away, but a good cockroach.
Yeah, it was funny, and to be honest, like every time that, you know, the second time I came back in the house, cared less than the time before.
Yeah.
It's just whatever, what's gonna happen? Evict me, whatever, it's cool.
Now, as a viewer, we knew that you were really garnering support from the jury house. So I feel like that reaction was very genuine, that they really did not want to see you in there because of the game you had played.
It felt, you know, it felt good. You know, obviously it sucked, you know, leaving the house, but after I left that last time, you know, I was like, oh, the game's over, it's cool, I get to go to the jury house, relax, and, you know, get to see everybody. And then, like you said, when I came out and they all saw me and they were speechless, I felt, you know, it felt good,
right? Because,
you know, they love me and, you know, it's awesome. They didn't want to see me leave, like, they like me as a person, whatever. But on the other side of me was, fuck, like, if I stayed in the house, I had all their votes.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And that still wasn't over for you. Finale night, you win America's Player.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously something you wouldn't even have an inkling of how popular you were because you were sequestered that whole time.
Well, like me and Paul, you know, while we were in the house and we didn't get any care packages or anything, we legit thought that America hated us. We thought that they didn't like us. And, you know, it got to a point where we're like, all right, you know what? Fuck, we don't even care. They can not like us.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. And then, the entire season, I never thought about America's favorite. I didn't think I would get it. I didn't think I'd be in the running. I didn't, you know, whatever. And, like, in my mind, I was like, oh, Natalie and James. And it seemed like they tried to play to get America's favorite. You know, like, just the little things they did here and there. And I was like, all right, you know, whatever. And then closer to the end of the show, when I saw the cattiness, especially in the jury house and a lot of arguments, and I was staying away from that, I was like, you know what, maybe I have a chance, but I'm not banking on anything. You know, I was like, well, maybe my chances got a little bit better, whatever.
Yeah.
And then to hear it, you know, Julie say, you know, over 4 million people voted for, you know, Victor, you're America's. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I feel like if you did not fight your way back into the house those 3 times, maybe you would not have got it, and just because of the way your initial visit came across.
Yeah, and
so I think that really helped you.
That's one of the things that I think about all the time. You know, what if? Because something that really made me mad, and it still irks me to this day, is that, you know, when I got evicted the first time, Natalie's goodbye message to me was something along the lines of me being disrespectful to women, and I was like, whoa, like I never in my life.
Right.
You know? And the only reason that made me mad is because after everything's said and done, if I would have never came back into the house, that would have been the last thing people heard about me. That and then me walking off the stage, and that was it. And, you know, I came back in the house, obviously, and then people, you know, started to like me for who I was and everything, so I was happy about that. But that still stays in the back of my mind, like, what if?
Well, that's the kind of thing, yes, it's a game, but you have now said that on national television.
Exactly.
That could be picked up anywhere, so that's a personal move, it feels like.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the game, and it's not true. And, like, you could just see it from live feeds from the show, like, that's not me. I'm not I'm not a bad person. Like I try to be. I'm genuine. I'm genuine, and I try to be nice. I don't do wrong by people, at least not intentionally. And so when I heard that, it made me feel bad, and I can only think about like my mom watching the show and what she's thinking. And then there's people that don't have to watch anything; they could just hear that, and they forever think that that's who I am.
Right.
And so it kind of sucks. But I mean, it is what it is. I talked to her about it, when I came back in the house, and I told her how I felt about it, and she told me, it was just how she was feeling at the time, and because we had a little flirtmance, and I broke it off, and then so she thought I used her, and I apologized, and I told her that what she thought was me being mean was me actually thinking I was doing the right thing by letting her know, hey, look, I don't think we're gonna work out.
Right.
Maybe we should stop this. When she thought I used her for just a couple days and like, oh, I don't want to talk to her anymore.
I feel like they took a very feminist approach together, and they glommed onto Michelle Bridget. And what I found interesting was Bridget ended up voting for a guy to win, which completely made no sense in her entire quote-unquote storyline throughout the whole season. So I feel like that may have been a group effort based on conversations.
Yeah, it was weird, especially hearing at the jury round table the contradictions between when Michelle and Natalie, I think they were talking about something, and they were saying something like, I want a girl to win unless it's Nicole against James, and I want James to win. And that was
it's like, wait,
that was the whole contradiction
yeah.
there. So we were watching, and it's fun because I think Dr. Will, he's a good mediator for the debate. He's really good, in the questions that he presents and how he asks them to you, and the banter. And I think everybody was doing it. Michelle got a little emotional. I mean, we saw her cry a lot on the show. But, I thought it was a good back and forth, and,
yes.
Good ideas rolled through. And I think that changed some people's minds a little bit. So that was a good, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the ride. It was a little cold, but I enjoyed it.
And now after you came out of the house, you booked a one-day guest stint on the Bold and Beautiful. Which
that was fun. Bold and the Beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't seen the show before, but I did watch it now, obviously, and it's really cool. And just being behind the scenes and seeing how everything works, and then seeing it on camera,
right?
It's like the whole process. It was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, if I could do that for a living, acting, that'd be so much fun. I would do it.
Is that something you're pursuing now that you're out of the house?
So that's what I'm gonna try to pursue. Obviously, I want to take acting classes and do it the right way. I don't want to just jump in and be like, oh, I was the guy from Big Brother. No. I want to be legit, And so, but actually what I want to do now is I want to start a YouTube channel just traveling around the world and, El Fitvic Adventures or something like that, El Fitvic Travels, something. So I think that'll be cool, but in the long run, the ultimate goal would be acting. I think that would be really cool.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It's been a real pleasure, and hope to see you back on screen soon, man.
Thank you so much.